Welcome to the lunch session at the beginning of every one of these Hatecasts. Now, instead of trying to make the words come out of my mouth, because I have an issue with that recently, I keep on fucking up what I say, I'm just going to go ahead and flash the sale here. So, you guys know we sell stuff, you know you should be signed up to the newsletter, all that stuff. Just to clarify, the sale will be flashed now because of editing magic. With that being said, today I'm joined by RYAN SKELLIE, he comes back and visits with us again after his slew of health issues. He had a concussion, he's anemic, he's going through iron blood transfusions now and all that stuff. So, really interesting on that end. Also, I'm bodybuilding, he's bodybuilding. We go over the Olympia because we didn't get a chance to catch up and all that for a while. So, we kind of lay out our thoughts and all that jazz. Very, 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 very good episode. I hope you enjoy the show, and thanks for following along so far, guys. We're almost up to 2,000 subscribers, and when we do hit 2,000 subscribers, we will be doing a giveaway of epic proportions. So stay tuned for that, and enjoy the show.
Yeah,
well, guys. Oh, what's up?
No, I was saying, yeah,
no, we're live now. So
yeah,
the conversation
cool.
you were having before is just gone. So, welcome to the newest Hatecast. This time I am joined by a fellow tall freak and guy who works with us and all that other stuff. So, somebody who's been beat up recently. So I'd like to go over that a little bit. Before we start, you're a competitive bodybuilder. You are a high school athlete coach. You are working in probably one of the most impressive high school gyms that I've ever seen. And you really have a passion for this. So for those of you who don't know who he is, you can follow him on Instagram. I'll have his information in the description box below. But, okay, Ryan. Explain to us what happened after your show. So your show was when?
I did those two shows real quick. I think the last one was June 2nd, first week of June, first weekend of June. And then I just, decided, okay, I'm going to, give my body a break, go back to being normal. I mean, I did a 6-week prep for 2 shows, not like I really strained myself. But I just decided, okay, I'm going to be normal, focus on, like you said, coaching. I work with kids. Teaching. I was in that new weight room I got. It took me 3 years to get it, but I finally got it.
What are the figures on that?
I had raised money, and I had bought a wall mount, like CrossFit type squat rack system, right. A jammer press, a GHD. I think that ran me like $3,000 or so, and then I actually put the floor on by myself with the athletic director. So that only cost us like $2,500, but it would have been like $8,000. But instead, we just tortured ourselves for 4 days with no idea what we're doing and put the floor down. But total
means more.
It does, and I can yell at the kids too and say, "Pick that shit up," because I put this down on my own hands and knees, and they respect it. They respect it a lot more because they saw me working on it. But total, I think once the district helped us out, and like now the new pictures you've seen, I want to say like 50. Probably with everything combined with the money I bought, it was like $60,000 or so, and I customized it to everything that I wanted. So like, right. We got 4 GHDs in there, 8 squat racks, the jammer press, leg press. I got some Aerodyne bikes, boxes for box jumps. I got over 100 bands for like speed work, right. Kettlebells, dumbbells, stuff for the PE classes, but also for the athletes, and it was a lot of time, but great project. And in all reality, I don't make any money off of it. It literally is for the kids, and that's what I enjoy doing. So, go back to what you were saying about the show. Did the show, and I just gave my body a break. I wasn't training crazy hard. Right. I wasn't forcing food down. Supplements were to moderate to none, and I come to find out after about doing that for like 3 months, and I just like, man, I'm not, I'm like, okay, I'm just maintaining, But I just always felt tired. I had no motivation to train. I was just forcing it every time I went. Pre-workout, even taking Furox and stuff, 450 milligrams of caffeine, that made me function. I went to donate blood after the hurricane we had here, the first one, and my hemoglobin was like 8.6 or 9. And the Red Cross lady was like, you can't donate blood, and you need to go see a doctor. So I come to find out my hemoglobin got down to 7.7. And at 7 or below, people don't know, you will lose oxygen to your brain and like other organs. And I would have been teaching and coaching, and I just would have passed out. And then the issue could have been way worse. You know, losing oxygen to your brain and other organs, things like they'll start shutting down. Who knows if they'll come back to normal? Like, would I have memory loss, or you never know. But luckily I caught it, and come to find out, I'm perfectly healthy. I can't tell you how many times I took blood and ran tests. I mean, the list was, it was probably 100 different things, and I have nothing wrong, except I had no iron in my body. So the low end of healthy for iron in your body for a male is 50. Mine was 8. So pretty much, I didn't have jack shit. Pretty much zero.
That's something's wrong levels, yeah.
Right. And they don't know, like we talked before we started recording, if I got a viral infection back in April when I got sick during my little prep there for a day, or if I've developed antibody in my GI tract. And I'm eating, I eat a lot of red meat. I'm far from a vegetarian or vegan, but I eat a ton of red meat. I do eat veggies. I take my Gaia from Chaos Fit every morning, so I'm getting my fruits and veggies from there. But they think, my iron should be that low. So either have an absorption problem, but I've had one transfusion already. We'll get another transfusion tomorrow, and then a third one. And hopefully, they figure out what's wrong, because, they did blood smears and everything, and all they could see is I had no iron. Nothing else. Normally, like your liver, kidneys, your red blood count's off, or your white blood count, platelets. I was totally normal. So it's not really reassuring when the specialists, they're like, well, I don't know. We're going to just, hopefully we can figure it out. Hopefully it's like, oh, great, thanks. I'm glad you make, $400,000, and you can't tell me nothing I haven't found out on my own or didn't know myself.
I'm glad in the 8+ years of school that you went to, that you just shrug your shoulders, and go, that's supposed to be my answer.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy, especially when you go to somebody when you have something wrong, and you're sitting there grasping at straws yourself. You're not completely uneducated on the issue. If it was something like you need a little bit more red meat, of course you would have added that. If you need a little bit more exercise, you would have done that. If you needed physical therapy of some kind, people that are, you have a chiropractor friend that helps you out every once in a while. So it's not like you weren't trying. It's not like you weren't sitting there on your, twiddling your thumbs saying, I don't know, I drink and smoke and all that stuff. No, you're a healthy guy. So it is kind of alarming when your iron's that low, when you really haven't done anything, and in fact, you do everything within your power in order to make sure you're operating at an optimum health. So
and everyone says, people say, just change your diet. It's like, no, you don't get it. My diet's on point. Like, this shouldn't happen. Or they say, why don't you just take an iron supplement, or you can add, beet juice, more spinach. I'm like, I do that, but the problem is, if it goes to my mouth, I'm not absorbing it. So it doesn't even matter. An iron supplement, I started taking one. It might be helping. I don't know. But when I did do my first transfusion, which is, people know, I literally had someone else's blood put into me, and they put 2 pints of blood in me for about 4 hours. Right. It was a pretty weird feeling. Like halfway through I got through the first bag, and I felt like I had an energy drink, man. I was fucking jacked up. Like, I had an energy rush. But then all of a sudden, I started coming back down normal. But my hemoglobin went from a 7.7 after that to a 10.5. So it really did help. Right. But my hemoglobin was still way too low, even at 10.5.
Iron doesn't raise fast. And another thing you got to
No, that's the problem.
Realize.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
That's why I had the emergency.
Go ahead.
What's that? Oh, I was saying that's why I was saying they couldn't just do an iron injection, because like you said, my hemoglobin was so low, the injection, even when I get it, it would take 3 or 4 days to really distribute to your body, as where the transfusion of someone else's blood, it didn't have just iron in it, but it was going to have enough iron to get me back to somewhat out of the threatening zone.
Right.
But now that only lasts in your body, that blood will only last for about 2 to 3 weeks because it's also been on the shelf. So it only lasts for 120 days total. So if it's on the shelf for 105 days, and then I get it, that's only 2 weeks that blood is actually going to be live and active in my body. So
Right.
that's what, at least that's what the doctors have told me. So now I'm getting the transfusion of simply a little bit of blood, but just almost 90% iron right into my system. But like you said, it's going to take a couple days until that distributes and I feel it. So I got to get a couple of those. And thank God I have good insurance. If not, this would be like transfusions aren't cheap. So luckily it hasn't been causing that stress of the financial thing. So, but I'm living, man. I'm surviving. So
you felt extremely energized, which is a good sign. Even with fixing your diet, guys, you know, those of you out there who's listening that thinks, you know, oh, you're full of shit, you should just change your diet. And like you said, that won't get you from an 8 to a 50, like as quickly as needed. You know, it was low. It was dangerously low. You cannot sustain that for long until things stop working.
Yep.
Iron is just so important for many different things. Now, I'm not saying everybody should take an iron supplement, but make sure you have plenty of red meat and everything. His problem was beyond that. So, okay, now we're at how many transfusions later?
I've had one full-on transfusion. It took about 5 hours. And then after that, once again, the doctors, you know, my normal family doctor, she got me into the transfusion in a day, and she had an iron injection set up for 3 days after. For some reason, the specialist, the hematologist, said, well, it has to clear through your insurance. We'll call you. Well, they didn't call me. And I talked to my normal doctor. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So she went over. I had to call them, and they never actually followed up with me. So I called in there as respectful as I could, pissed. I'm like, you never called me. And if I get a full-on transfusion the next day, my insurance is going to cover a simple, you know, an iron injection and another transfusion. So there's no clearing. The doctor just never put it in the notes or whatever. It's just been a whirlwind of lack of communication. It makes you wonder, what are these people getting paid for? You know, but we're good. I got it scheduled to get again. And like you said, you don't have to take an iron pill. You have to get blood work done to figure out what's wrong. People told me, well, your B12 is probably low. Actually, my B12 was perfectly fine. So that tells me I don't need to take a B12 product. And I mean, the guy that has B12, B6, it has your B vitamins in there. But I don't need a surplus of that because my B12 is fine. So for people watching, get your blood work done, get a full panel, and then find out if you are deficient in certain nutrients. Because if you're not, you don't necessarily need them. Save your money. And you can actually have too much iron or too much B12, which that can cause issues as well. So you can have too much of the micronutrients and vitamins to where don't just take them because you read on a forum or online or Instagram to take this product. You might not need it, you know. So get blood work done. It's cheap, you know. Go to your family doctor so your insurance helps out with it. And you know, once a year, you know, it's like I was fine a year ago. You know, the only reason why I found out is because I tried to do a good deed of giving blood, and then in reality, I end up taking blood. So kind of funny how it works out.
Hey, it's a circle, you know.
Yep, it is. Yep.
I will say that people who generally have an overabundance of iron usually end up having that from supplements because the iron that you find in red meat, it is, for whatever reason, handled differently and handled better. So the iron you get from food will most certainly not give you an overabundance of it unless you are a human garbage disposal. Which, trust me, you're going to have to be way more of a human garbage disposal than I am. I mean, that would take a lot of red meat, but...
and then it wouldn't be... Then there's other negative side effects of that much red meat and that much protein. Yeah. Because then you can affect your kidneys, so just go to the doctor, you know, get the blood work done, and go to a doctor if you're someone who's into training and using, you know, supplements and stuff, no matter what it is, go to a doctor who is at least knowledgeable or open to that, so they understand, okay, your levels might be a little different than the average person.
Right.
Because, you're lifting, like, oh, your liver enzymes are high. Well, I just lifted yesterday. Okay, don't lift for 5 days, come back. Oh, you're healthy. Let your doctors know.
You're excreting some creatinine here. What's going on?
Right.
Oh, I'm taking
right.
creatine. Oh,
right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I'm having, lots of red meat. I have more muscle mass, so my creatinine could be higher. But my creatinine, luckily for me, it's normal. Now, my girlfriend, she's short and jacked, unlike me, who's tall and skinny, and hers is a little bit, higher. But and she's had her own issues. We found out she has no estrogen and no testosterone in her body, and she's still jacked. Talk about crushing my soul every morning when I wake up. She's over there with like 14-inch arms and muscle bellies, and she has no testosterone. So she's got her own, she's in battle on that. And I'm just like, damn, I'm over here.
Man, she already tried to kill you with a fence.
Right. She did try to kill me putting a fence up. So, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So you got a concussion too.
Yeah. Once again, helping somebody out for nothing on Labor Day. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm pretty lucky I didn't, gash my head open like we said before. But just putting a fence up, and I don't know if anyone's ever put a fence up, but it kind of sucks. It's a lot of work, digging the the holes and then the tamp, like we talked before. It's a 20-pound steel tamp that goes fitting over the fence post, and you raise it up halfway, and then you slam it back down like a tamp.
Right.
I raised it up too high, and it came off the fence post on the top heavy end. It caught me on the top of the head, and I had a freaking knot on the top of my head, and I was nauseous. My vision was fucked up, and I had a headache for a week. The following day, I got it Monday. The following day, I tried to go lift, and as I'm sitting there, I took the riot straight to the face, and I'm taking it, and I still just like, oh, I feel nauseous. I feel out of it. My girlfriend's like, why don't you just stay and rest for once and not be an idiot? I'm like, no, I've made up my mind. I'm going to go because I'm a meathead. I get on, I'm like, I'll just do arms. I did arms for 20 minutes. I threw up. I ended up sleeping in her car until she got done training. And then
well, hey,
I realized then.
Back in the day, Arnold said the only way you had a good workout is if you felt like you were about to puke. So, I mean.
Yeah, right.
Got that
puking
going
from
on,
arms
so.
for light arms for 20 minutes, that's when I was like, all right. And, being a coach, we have to take a concussion protocol class. So my girlfriend's like, well, do you have the symptoms? You should know not to do it. I'm like, I know, but I'm stubborn, So I learned a lesson. But yeah, that was, I couldn't lift for 2 weeks because of that, because you have to wait 2 days past after your last headache. So I had a headache for about a week and a half, and obviously working and teaching and coaching didn't help, but I don't miss work, and I was just raised, you suck it up,
No,
but then
I'm the exact same way. Yeah.
Yeah. It ends up biting me in the ass probably more than helping me, but as I've gotten older, I've learned to be a little smarter. I didn't train though, and then I was okay. I worked out for about 4 or 5 days, so I lifted probably 3 times, but I still just felt tired. I felt like shit. Then I found out this issue, and so I haven't touched a weight. Literally haven't touched a weight in 5 weeks, but I'm still holding on. I'm still in the low 250s. I was heavier, but obviously I figured, okay, I'm not going to eat 8 times a day and 1,000 carbs a day if I can't lift. I will just get fat as shit, even though I'm always lean. So, I've been eating, no less than 3 meals a day. I try to get 5 or 6 in with a shake. I do a shake every morning, the vanilla, with berries and kale to get my vitamins in. But, I'm still in the 250s without only having probably 2 carb meals a day. And just because I'm just like, what, I need it, I'll mix in a few little, like a cheat meal, every other day, just because I'm not really eating in general. So if I can still get the calories in, I'm doing that. But
you probably burn through calories like I do. Like, it's weight loss is pretty, and I don't mean to piss people off, but it's pretty easy for me just because of the height and the muscle mass that I have and all that jazz.
I can
So
lose cutting for a show for me is, I mean, that's easy. It's gaining weight and growing. I can drop 10 pounds in a week. That's not a problem.
yeah,
But
yeah. But so you haven't lifted, you haven't touched a weight, lifted. That doesn't sound correct, but I'm just gonna go with it. You haven't lifted, in
I haven't lifted. Yeah, I've
yeah.
touched the weight. I've been training people, so I have touched the weight.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, that
yeah,
makes
I
sense.
haven't. I haven't worked out or lifted myself.
Just gonna live vicariously through your students.
Yeah, through my students and some of the clients I have here that I train whenever on the weekends and stuff. I mean, I live through them for now, but
Yeah.
I'll be
Just
back.
get that rage. You're not squatting low enough.
Yeah,
I would do better. Yeah, I mean, so that it's obviously part of the doctor's orders, right? Don't go doing anything crazy. It's also something with your experience, not to go out there and go for a 1 rep max or whatever right now.
right.
Not to lift vigorously until the iron issue is taken care of. But so
Yeah,
your timeline on getting back to lifting, what does that look like? So
I get that second transfusion Monday, which would be pretty much a lot of iron, which in like 2 days after it, I should feel pretty good. And they said once I get that iron in me and our levels get back to normal, I can start doing like pump stuff, and I can get back in the gym, but I can't be on there taxing my central nervous system and lifting to fatigue because that's just going to possibly deplete me more again. And I need to get back to normal and sustain those normal levels for a few weeks until we know, okay, maybe it was just a viral infection and I'm back to normal. So I'll probably get those iron injections. I'll slowly get back into it, and then if I can hold my iron levels up, for 3 or 4 weeks after the injection, then as soon as they give me the okay, and I find out, if I have a GI issue or not, then I'll get back into it. But it's been, a lot of people struggle they have body image issues, who have competed, or those who lift. And I'm not going to lie. It's been 5 weeks. Like, I'm itching a little bit now. I'm ready just because I feel deflated. I feel weak. I mean, I'm still have muscle. Like, you don't just lose it. I still have some cuts in my legs, but it's really been a good mental break. I've been doing this for like 4 years or so with the weighing. I still weigh my food. But I'm talking like really being strict, training all the time, doing the cardio. It's been a really good mental break, not just from the physical part of my body, but mentally, it's been great. I've been able to realize, okay, I'm not going to compete that much longer because it takes all my money. I want to get a house, a family, and it's really I've been taking my focus from that into my clients, from my coaching, from online coaching, but also my teaching and my athletes. I find to get a lot better natural high trying to get a kid into college and emailing coaches and getting a response than I do putting on a man thong and spray tan. Like,
and who knows?
getting
Eventually, you might you might end up coaching some of those kids into bodybuilding or something like that if they show interest in it.
Oh yeah, I have kids who hit me up who've graduated, who still ask me, "Is this protein good?" or "Can I send you a workout?"
That's awesome.
And I've had some kids who are genetic freaks who have really blown up, and I'm like, all these kids I teach, I'm going to be as big as you one day, coach, or bigger than you. And I'm like, well, I've been lifting for 10 years. You have really good genetics compared to me, so you probably will. And it's depressing, but, I encourage it. Like, I'm like, that should be your goal. When I was a kid, I had people I wanted to be bigger than. I was like, so yeah, your goal should be to be bigger than me, but there are people even bigger than me out there. It's, I'm not that big of I don't see myself as a big of a guy. Probably you don't either until you see yourself walking next to an average-sized human.
Right,
and you're like,
right.
fuck.
That's always a shock.
I'm an ogre. You're like, I'm an ogre. Like, I'm 4 or 5 inches taller and double the width of this average human. But when you're around yourself all the time, you're like, whatever. I'm 6'4", 260. That's normal, right? I mean,
that's normal. I don't go to any grocery stores ever.
Right, yeah. That's normal on NFL football field.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my poor little door frames right there. I mean, you saw me stand up. I mean, sometimes it's comical.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, you kind of forget that you are kind of a rarity. You go in there, and, I always joke about it, but it is kind of true. Bodybuilders, people in the fitness industry, I do tend to think that they have some sort of body issues to begin with. and
Yeah.
then look at me, look at all this hard work I did, especially in our industry, you know, in our little niche. You know, bodybuilders, like, you know, I want all the attention. This is my
Right.
time to shine. You know, I'm gonna put on the man thong. I'm gonna grease myself up like a fucking show
Yeah.
pig, and start oinking for you guys up here on stage. And
And
then
it's not even was it sorry, go ahead.
and then some people just fall in love with the process. You know, like I'm one of those guys. I don't give two shits about anything else other than improving myself, getting better. You know, I've been bulking for a while, good, you know, amount of months. I gained like 50 pounds, and then now I'm back to dieting, and I went from 290, now I'm down to 270, like really quickly, and I'm losing 30 more pounds, possibly 40 more pounds, depending on how garbage bag lean I want to get. Um, and it's just I'm starting to fall in love with the process all over again, because you do see the fruits of your effort. It's the only
Yep.
thing in this world where you can visually see the fruits of your effort. Just boom, you know, in a couple weeks, it's just everything has come, everything is out. You know, you start to see
Yeah.
striations,
It's
you start to see cuts, you start to see your cardio numbers improving. For me, the biggest part about losing weight is you know, I'm starting to experience that rebound effect of, oh, I'm not so heavy, I can do pull-ups again, I can
Yep.
start
Yep.
sprinting again, I can start being more athletic, I'm feeling fucking good, everything's moving
Well, that's one
smooth.
thing too is I've told my girlfriend before, and like, I had the hip issue, but then also,
Yeah,
I was, I can still dunk, but I was when I was 275, I could still get up and dunk two handed, but when I was, was a week and a half ago, I was still like midday, still upper 250s, 260, and I put it on my social media, my Instagram. The students, I dunked one, and they're all looked at me like, "What the hell was that?" I'm like, "What? Is it because I'm a big white guy? I can't dunk?" And they all start laughing. Well, then, 8 dunks later, and I'm going up and I'm cocking it back behind my head, and then an hour later, I'm limping around, and my knee's been killing me ever since. So it was kind of like a wake up call, as in, you know, I lift because I want to. I was an athlete, and now a
right.
part of me is okay. I want to go back to bulking again, but I'm going to work on my flexibility, and I'm going to get back into doing speed work, bleachers, sprints, because you can still bulk and do that speed work. Because if you go hard, it's 25 minutes, 30 minutes tops. If you're someone who's doing hit training or sprints for an hour and a half, then you're not doing it right. But at 30 minutes, it actually has been proven, because that's the kind of research I like, is it's been proven to actually increase muscle mass, muscle endurance.
Right.
It's 30 minutes. You're using your ATP energy, so you're not using your muscle for fuel. And 30 minutes, 35 minutes, you hit your max VO2, and you're going to be dripping a sweat, breathing heavy, and you're done.
Yeah,
And then you eat. You actually don't break down muscle. If anything, you're recruiting more muscle fibers because you're using your whole entire body in the maximum effort. You know, I've noticed
yeah,
when I used to do that, the bleaching and stuff for a show, for conditioning, like my legs were way more conditioned, way more separated doing bleacher sprints and sprinting. That's why I've always had a fat ass, because I sprint. I was an athlete. So,
yeah,
um, just like you, I love working out. I like being a role model for my students. Social media is great, but when I'm competing, I see it all the time. People get addicted to it, to where they live for the likes, and like the attention you get from that, which there's nothing wrong with that. But to a certain extent, you have to ask yourself, well, is this mentally healthy, where I'm obsessed with, the Instagram or the YouTube or the Facebook, and getting that acceptance from people, from myself? For me, guess what? If Instagram died tomorrow, it wouldn't affect me, because I have other things in life that I enjoy, and working with my
right.
athletes and stuff. And like, that just gives me a different feeling. And I kind of watched that Nick Trigili guy a little bit. He's become a pretty big douchebag, just because he's trying to get famous for trying to be like Boston Lloyd and calling people out and being a dick. But
Who?
he did make it. Nick Trigili, he won USA's in 2014. He's a pro. He's
Okay.
washed up now, but you have to look him up.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
he's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
the site enhancement product and CBD, but he literally just calls people out now and uses that for marketing. He was like trying to, like, the bad boy of bodybuilding. I don't know, but he did have some good stuff when he was actually getting good people to interview. But that hasn't happened. He's gonna start, being, kind of a dick. But he said today, he's like, if Instagram died, where would a lot of these people on Instagram, where would they be? There would, how would their life be like? So you can't, you have to do stuff you enjoy and find things away from how our society has molded us in the social media. And that's why I like coaching or being a teacher. Or honestly, I love trying to help people as much as I can. So if all this social media died, which is a great tool to use, you have to ask yourself, would you still train? Would you still do the things you do that you post on your social media? If people didn't see it and give you that instant gratification. So like you said, enjoy the process.
Yeah.
You have to enjoy exercise, because if you don't enjoy it, you're doing it because you just want to do a show or you want to get those Instagram likes, then you better stop, because it's going to end up just, destroying you in the long run.
Right. My goal is to compete. My goal is to compete somewhere in the 2022, 2024. I'm giving myself a big time to kind of really dial in what I need to do, because I know that the size I have now is going to be pathetic when I step up on a bodybuilding stage.
You'd be surprised, man. You're heavier than me.
No, you'd be surprised. No, I know a couple of guys that are our height that are up in the 270s. There's this one individual that I know. I'm not going to say his name because he's prepping for his first show. But he's actually 6'4", and he's upwards of 300 pounds now.
Oh,
right?
Shit. Yeah.
And he's like 2 weeks or so into his test prep. Every bodybuilding bro kind of goes through one of those. Like, I want to see if I can do it, man. I just, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he has the vascularity of a fucking alien. He's an alien. And it's just one of those things where he is my height, he's 300 pounds, and he would destroy me.
Yeah. I mean, you have to ask yourself, too, do you want to push yourself to that level? Because even being 6'4", 300 pounds, it's a lot of damn weight.
I know.
I
got it.
But like you said, but 300 pounds vascular. Right. Body fat, water. Donuts, Taco Bell, shit.
Look at the cuts that are just non-existent.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, but I realize you peel it off. Maybe, like you said, you cut down to 230, and then you bulk again slowly. And the yo-yo effect in 2020, like, you're being smart. You're okay. In a couple of years, I'm gonna just do it. But you're setting yourself up to be successful because you're building a good base.
Also,
slowly.
like doing this. I mean,
right.
Looks like Rich Piano, rest in peace. He competed, but and this is gonna piss a lot of people off, but he was a piss poor competitor. I mean, he was on Malcolm in the Middle once, which, by the way, if you've not seen that video of him, it was before the tattoos. It was glorious.
Yeah.
He was literally a token bodybuilder. It was I'm sure that was the perfect role for him, because it was good. But he was in Malcolm in the Middle, and he was kind of a personality, and I like doing this, but I also want to compete. I want to, and it doesn't have to do with anybody else except for me. Like, I like the competitive nature of it. It's not like I want to rub someone's face into it. Like, when I go up there and I'm standing next to my brothers and sisters in Iron, I'm gonna be sitting there backstage shaking their hand, telling them that they look great too, because I mean, there's a level of respect you have for competitors, knowing that they've gone through the exact same shit you've gone through. It's almost like a camaraderie for people.
No doubt. You never want to be that douchebag who doesn't talk to anybody, or when they don't win, they get pissed. Like, dude, guess what?
Or talking about destroying people. It's like, okay, come on.
Right.
You're going to go up there and pose in swimming trunks next to another dude. Calm down.
Right.
Okay? It's not that fucking serious.
It's like, yeah, man, I won, but guess what? I'm going back to my normal job and my normal life on Monday. Right. It's like people just get so focused on it, and it's hard to see, but there's a larger percentage who outweigh all those jackasses, and that's why it is fun.
Yeah.
to make relationships with people. I mean, hell, I wouldn't be here if I didn't compete. You know, that's how I met Ed and Wayne, and you know, at the Arnold, my girlfriend and I went just out of the blue. I met up with Ed, and that's how I met Wayne. And 3 years later, you know, they're good friends, and we still stay in touch.
Is he really that jacked in person? Come on, man.
Who's that?
Ed.
Ed? Yeah, man. It's kind of awkward. Like, you wouldn't expect it, but he's actually, when my girlfriend and I first started dating after we had met him at the Arnold, he came down here and lifted, and yeah, he's got really good genetics. My girlfriend's Russian. Yeah. She's Russian too, and you know, those Russians, it's not fair. Your genetics he's impressive.
Yeah. But it's just, it's
as she flexes at me.
Okay.
Smiles.
Okay.
Yeah. I wish I was 5'3", you know, with a 4 foot wingspan, tiny arms. Yeah. So yeah, no.
You're gonna come over there, and we're just gonna see the hand just come through.
Oh yeah.
The shot, just start smacking you. But it's one of those things where, you know, it is something that I want to do. But I also realize that some people who are not necessarily not cut out for it, but like people who just don't, you know, because if you're 18 and you look like a bodybuilder, you know what you're meant to do. Come on.
Right.
You know, The Rock knew that he was meant to be in fitness. I mean, look at his dad, you know?
Right.
Dwayne Johnson. All that stuff. And then you have other people that, you know, just fall into it. Like Phil Heath. He just fell into bodybuilding. He was a Division I
basketball player.
Basketball, yeah.
Yep.
Which, by the way, you know, while we're on the topic of competitors, what did you think about the Olympia?
I thought it was great, man. I was, you know, obviously we all want to see the freaks, dude. Like Roy Winkler. I think Bing Ramy looks like shit. I'm not a fan of his physique. I feel like his quads just overpowers his body. And he literally is almost like just too big to where it's like that doesn't even look marketable. Right. Something about Rolly, he has that freak factor, but he's shorter and like I don't know what it is. He, you know, but it was really good to see. I think the tides are changing, man, and they're getting back to aesthetics. You know, and everyone's gonna say, well, bodybuilding is about building muscle and bodybuilding and being as big as you can, a freak. Guess what? Everyone has their own taste. So, me personally, do I like seeing the freaks? Hell yes. But I think it's representing the sport and it going back to presenting it as being a little more attainable to society. It can be done a little bit healthier. And I love that aesthetic, the look of symmetry, where I thought Sean Roden, he's still big, dude. He's still 250 on stage.
Working at with 5. Chris Aceto now. So.
Right, yeah. He's been with him his whole career, pretty much. And I was pleased. And hopefully, though, Phil, it's funny now. Phil didn't win the Olympia, and all of a sudden now he's been doing interviews left and right. He's on his Instagram. I think it was a real good wake-up call where he's like, oh, shit, I actually need to start, you know, getting my name out, getting my face out there. Because before, he never had an Instagram story. He never was interviewing with anybody. And dude, the last 2 weeks, man, I've seen him all over the place. And hopefully he gets the surgery. He has to get surgery done because he does still have some stomach issues, which is what was causing that distension. He was still a freak, man. Like, his muscle bellies are still just so cartoonish looking.
Right.
If his gut would have been a little bit better, I think he would have won. And I still don't think that should have been the deciding factor. But it was just so obvious that even I was just looking at him, drawn to his gut. And then I have to say, oh, wait, look at the rest. You know what I'm saying? In between poses and transitions, it was just out.
Did you catch the pec tear?
I did, his left pec tear. Yeah, actually, my buddy Cornelius, who we've talked about on the show, which hopefully we'll have him on here in a couple weeks.
Yes.
He mentioned it too, but it's funny. No one is talking about his pec tear. They're all just talking about his stomach, and you can see his left pec. Yeah, it's torn. You know, so.
Pec minor.
But I think it was interesting, man. It's good to see the champion. You know, the judging seems with that little Jim Mannion's the youngest one now taking over a lot of the judging. It's good to see, you know, men's physique Jeremy Buendia didn't win. He didn't deserve to win. I don't think he deserved to win last year, but it's good to see things looking a little more fair,
Right.
I guess, and we'll see what happens, man. I mean, who knows? It'll be interesting because think about it, we only had, 14 Olympians? So everyone's always won it besides Dexter Jackson and probably somebody else before I was born. They've all won it more than it's been consecutive. Do I think Shaw Roden's going to win next year, though? I don't think so. I think Roy Winkler's going to get his waist smaller and smaller, and he's going to be a freak.
And you know what? That People's Champion Award was such a needed thing for the sport of bodybuilding. It allows there to be basically 2 winners, and honestly, Rolly, with as hard as he's been training and all the crap that he's had to go through, I just think that there could have been there was not a better People's Champion. I was a little disappointed, like I had mentioned on the Hatecast that I did with Ed. I was a little disappointed in Big Ramy because not only was he the dude has to realize how cartoonish, not even cartoonish, it's beyond that now, right?
Right.
His quad sweeps are just insane. And then other parts are lacking, like his calves, Yeah.
Well, it's because his quads are so damn big.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's definitely some added. His quads were pretty blurred. So I think he's definitely, people have been talking a lot, that there's definitely some added substance to those to make him look like that. But if he came in, I've heard everyone talk about it, like Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto did help Big Ramy a couple years ago, and it was the best he ever looked at 285. Correct, if he comes in at 280, he needs to realize he's still going to be the biggest guy on stage by 30 pounds. He'll still be a fucking monster, but he'll come in peeled. And he'll look even freakier, but he'll be in way better condition. And I guarantee you that's what, he's going to, he'll win if he can do that. But, I mean, now I heard he's left Oxygen Gym. And he's...
My daughter that came in.
She's going somewhere. At least she's letting me know. But, yeah, he actually, I heard, which it might have changed, that he left Oxygen Gym. He's left Beta, but he's maybe going for a new coach. We'll see, man. It's all rumors, though. That's what keeps this industry going. You know?
Something else. He wasn't as conditioned. Just like you said, I think he could have came in at 280. I think would have been good. The thing that kind of bothered me is he had some lower back fat.
He did. Yeah.
Was just weird. I mean, his posing trunks weren't tight to his body. It was digging into him. He had a lot of lower back fat. Enough that I kind of automatically just shook my head and what? In guest posing or in prejudging. And, it's kind of sad that he didn't even make it up there,
Yeah, and it's weird is that, you've got, Brandon Curry, who he goes over in Oxygen Gym to Kuwait.
Right.
And then you've got Rolly Winkler. And they came in shredded. Brandon Curry looks phenomenal. Best he's probably ever looked. I mean, he looked crazy. He has to even out a few body parts, but he was peeled, vascular. It's why are him and Rolly, and there's a 212 guy, I think, who was there. Why are they all shredded? But for some reason, Big Ramy is not coming in condition. I think they're obsessed with the Big Ramy part.
Right.
To where they don't want to sacrifice the size, but it's weird how they come in peeled and he's not, and they're all using the same, the same training facility, Chris Comere, same coaches. Makes you wonder what's going on.
Do you think that? Because I have my theories about this. So, and this is again just rumor. I don't know them personally. I don't pretend to know them personally. All that stuff. I don't know the trainers. Although Bader Budai seems like an awesome guy who could take me over and make me into a monster. But, just putting that out there, Bader Budai, if you're listening. So, when it comes down to it, it's I think that even though he didn't come in as shredded as we wanted him to, I don't think that's going to hurt Big Ramy as a competitor. I don't think it's going to hurt his brand. I think he's going to get, if not, I think he's just going to get more deals going on and more business just from being big and freaky than he would be coming in more shredded. Because it's kind of his thing.
Yeah. I mean, he'll still be big as hell, though.
Oh yeah. Bigger than I
You
ever
know,
will
he
be.
left. He left. From what I heard, he left GAT. I don't think he's with GAT anymore. Then they dropped him. They dropped Sadiq. So who knows what he's got going on in the works? I mean, Dave Palumbo did an interview. He does have like fishing boats and stuff, so he's like
Yeah.
financially pretty well off. But who knows what he's got in the works now? It'll be. It's going to make next year's Olympia very interesting. You know.
Yeah, especially because I was proven wrong about Phil Heath too. I
Hmm.
figured that he went in there to have his little abdominal surgery and he got a little nip tuck while he's in there because competitors do that. I mean, you're aware
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
sometimes things need to be they get a little bit of lipo around the love handle region and just
Hmm.
get out those fat cells that can sometimes cause some issues. Cellulitis kind of pops up in some competitors. They just have that fixed real quick. All that jazz. I figured that they would do a mesh and kind of rebuild, because I thought that his hernia was a lot worse than it was, but apparently no. He ended up just having it repaired, and I think he said that the issue came back, right? Like you were saying,
Um,
or
I don't know
something.
if it came back or they didn't fully solve it. He has to get another surgery done, but um, I mean the surgery he had, like it actually when he went to get done, I guess his issue with his hernia and stuff, it was a lot worse than expected. When he went under, so I was watching. Dave Palumbo has a really good interview up. It's a three-part interview on his YouTube channel with Phil Heath, and I mean they get right down to it, and it really, honestly, made me change my outlook on Phil Heath because think about it, he's never interviewed before. People didn't know who he really was. They just thought he was an arrogant douchebag because he never did appearances. He was never on social media. He never did interviews. But then when you talk to, he does this interview with Dave Palumbo, you're like, you know what? A little more respect for the guy. He really shows what his personality is, and he's just kept it hidden. For his last year, because he was under contract with certain companies that wouldn't let him do other interviews.
We can say it.
So
Muscular development.
yeah, and what's the other
MD.
one? IMG or whatever.
Yeah.
They had him under contract, but I do recommend, after you watch our YouTube channel, go check out Dave Palumbo's channel because he does have a very good three-part interview. They're
Right.
about 20 minutes each. They're legit. So,
And I'm honestly all for it because you want to hear more from your Mr. Olympia. He's kind of an ambassador of open bodybuilding and bodybuilding in general. And when kids think about getting into bodybuilding, usually they end up either watching a movie or they end up seeing a bodybuilder. And who's the best bodybuilder? They type into Google, you know,
yeah,
pops up with Phil Heath, and if he's an arrogant asshole or if he does not hold himself in the way that an ambassador of the sport should, that is literally how masses are swayed against things.
yep,
And that's not to say that he's an asshole, because from I can almost guarantee you, because when it all comes down to it, these guys are just normal guys.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
they have families, they have dogs, they have cats, they have everything, right? They have everything that we have. They have their own bills they take care of. Their houses might be a little bit nicer, let's face it, marble sinks and all that crap. But,
yeah,
they are pretty normal. And generally, in my experience anyway, most people aren't assholes. Um,
no,
you know, I met a lot of people, so it's just, from my sample size. But yeah, I mean, it was a spectacular Olympia. I'm interested to see what next year brings. I'm sad to see Flex Lewis leave.
yeah. He'll be in the open though, man. It's gonna
He
be
just
nuts.
destroyed everybody, though. He just destroyed
Yeah,
everybody in 212.
I mean, if he comes into the open, even though he's shorter and a little smaller, look at William Bonac. He's got way better symmetry than William Bonac, and if he works in his quad sweep a little bit, he comes into the open at 230, 235. I think he's gonna really, you know, fuck some shit up. Needless to say, and everyone's gonna say, what you're talking about, or this, that, but it's like if that guy adds 30 pounds or 20 pounds, or because he always is like they say he looks his best when he's like 220. He literally has to not eat and suffer and lose muscle to make the 212. That's why he left. It was literally getting unhealthy to try to cut that weight for him. So I would not be surprised you see him come with this tight waist and be 230 or so.
He could be an Olympian. He could be.
Yeah, I mean, he would
Mr.
in a
Olympia
couple. I
one day.
think, in a couple. He says, his quad sweep could use a little bit work, but he's got freaky arms, freaky back. It'd be interesting to see him to the Open in a couple of years, and
Regan
see.
Grimes too.
Yeah, I think he needs to be done with Classic. He looked, to cut that much weight down, and then for him to try to fill out, it's not. He even said it, and he's like, it's just. Chris Cito said it in.
I
I
want to
listened
see
to
him be
podcasts with
open.
him, and
He's
I
fantastic.
think
His physique's fantastic.
who also is going to be a freak is Antoine Valier, who is he's now with Redcon. He was with Universal. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He is now 295 with abs, and
Ooh,
his symmetry. If
nasty.
you look up his social media, he's going to be someone to keep your eye out for. He had some serious drug issues, which is why he was really popular, and then he got into drugs, and he's been in rehab 3 or 4 times. And I don't know him personally. It's from listening to podcasts from other people and him. He had been in rehab 3, 4 times, and it just shows you how much of a genetic freak he is, because he still looked good
Right.
with doing heroin and cocaine and all that, all the uppers and downers he was doing. So he'll be a freak to look for. He'll be a monster.
I'll be honest with you though. You know what I've noticed from talking to a bunch of different competitors is that seems to be kind of an issue in the bodybuilding
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, I mean, people use, they definitely
I meant party stuff,
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and tranquilizers to go to sleep after they've used it.
Mm-hmm.
But say no to drugs. But with that being said, I think we've got 30 minutes to go. So I did want to bring up something to you. So your plans on to after this whole issue is fixed. What are your plans?
I mean, my goal is I want to give it, 1 or 2, good pushes again to hop back on stage. I know I'm not going to compete forever. I am only 29, so, I definitely have a couple more years left where I think my physique is going to really mature now. And I think this 5-week break has been very good to where I'm planning to rebound and really kind of blow up, hopefully, get up to that 285, 290.
Hell yeah.
And I should rebound very well because I haven't really done much and really trained hard in the last 4 or 5 months. So, and not doing anything for 5 weeks. Once I start, increasing the food, training, I should really, hopefully blow up pretty easily. My body is going to be ready. But I'm not going to put a date on my next show, kind of the approach you're taking. If it might be a year, and it might be 2 years. If I will get back on stage when I feel that I'm big enough and I'm going to do well, I want to be able to, I won my class in the super heavies, but the show was weak. I really don't count it. I mean, I do count it. I won. But
Right.
I would really like to see, I think if I really blow up, I would like to really suck down to barely make weight in classic at 245. If I can get my quad sweep better and work on a couple other things, I like to give 1 or 2 big good pushes to see if I can do well at the national level. And I'm gonna take my time. I might say, hey, I might take 2-3 years and just kind of like you're saying, and just gradually just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you never know. At 35, 36, I might be like, damn, I'm walking around 275 shredded. All right, I'll go do a bodybuilding show. Like, I mean, you and I, we're both still young, where we can literally just keep gradually growing and taking our time. And you see, people don't realize Sean Roden's like 43. I mean, Phil, he's in his late 30s. Like, you're really not going to develop
Kevin
the physique
Lerone,
you
when
want.
he came back,
Right.
I mean, he looks fantastic still to this day,
Right.
and he's.
I mean, I think
50.
people don't realize that to be in your mid to early 20s and be a freak bodybuilder, you're going to have some health issues because you've had to really push the envelope. People don't realize these bodybuilders who are doing really well, they're older. They're in their 30s. They took 10, 12 years to get there. And if you enjoy the process, then you'll be able to stick it out and do it. You know,
Maybe
so
have a
when
lot
I,
of money.
yeah,
But
when I do a show again, it'll be when I'm ready. I'm thinking, you know, I've got to give myself at least a full year of really trying to grow, at least minimum.
Yeah.
And you know, Cornelius, who I did get the Scott Stevenson's new book.
Right.
It's I've gotten reading it. It's phenomenal. I got the electronic version. It literally allows you to be your own coach. But I will still have my buddy, one of my really good friends, who owns a gym, Cornelius. He press people. Him and I will once again we'll work together, and we're gonna really try to transform me. Just because he'll hold me accountable. So we'll see. We'll see where I go in the next year or two and what I can look like, and then I'll decide if I want to, you know, suffer and do a show again. So,
well, hey, man, that's part of the journey. Also, you know, something that people don't realize either is sometimes when you're bulking up, you find some issues, too, that you need to fix. Like, you had that hip issue. So how are you going to be tackling that?
I mean, they were shifted. They were out of place. So I've been going, like we mentioned earlier, my good friend's a chiropractor. So I either go to his house or his practice, and I've been getting adjusted, getting some laser treatment on it. I've been getting more deep tissue. Actually, either my girlfriend will, or I'll go to my friend. Or today I went and got a massage, and they also force stretch me because I can't force myself where I need to go by myself. So
Right.
I will do some force stretching to increase the hip flexibility and mobility, to get those back in place, increase range of motion. But that's why this time off has helped.
Yeah.
I've been able to focus on my flexibility and getting that back in check. And, you know, it's been a blessing and a curse. So once I can't squat. Like, that hip was so bad, leg press began to be an issue. And that's when I got the X-ray done, because I thought I must have a tear. But I had an X-ray taken, and they were just they were shifted by 40 centimeters, so they were off by so much. It was causing so much pulling and tension down my IT band into my lower back, to where the pain was, you know, if I did legs and if I went leg press, you know, 1,000 for 12, which usually is nothing for me in the past, you know, the next day I could barely walk, you know, I wasn't even walking because it was just so tight. So, you know, I'm using this as a time, like I said, to take care of myself with the little injuries, aches and pains that we all have.
Right.
And so when it's go time, it'll be go time, and I'll be ready to go. So, you know, either way though, if I don't compete, I still have a goal, man. My ideal body weight and image would be to walk around 260 with, you know, constant abs with like shredded glutes, being shredded but healthy and feeling good. That's like my ultimate physique, and that's what I want to be, you know, be a super dad, be able to be an athlete when I'm older, be able to still run and jump, and be 6'4", 260, pretty shredded all the time. And to me, that'll be attainable, that'll be healthy, and it's not so freakish looking walking around at 300 or 300 and some pounds. You know, you got to think long term, and that's my ultimate physique. So once I stop competing, then, I mean, that's just a goal that I have for myself.
Start using hashtag dad bod.
Yeah. The opposite of dad bod, but yep.
You know, it's so I don't know if you know which bicep I had the issue in.
Your right one?
This one right here.
Yep.
It's my my right one. So
your right one, yep.
I had when I was training a couple years ago is when I was doing those real heavy, not strict at all, but just like really cheat curls, right? Dumbbells. I was doing it with 70s. And I just felt this intense pain, right? So the radial nerve was pinched. And that's why this one's a little bit smaller. And while I was bulking, I noticed that I was able to add size onto it, but it also exacerbated the I guess it highlighted it, you know?
Right.
So little issues like that can pop up, you know, just like your hips, just like, you know, I know other people with IT band issues, stuff like that. They happen all the time, and adding weight sometimes causes issues when it comes to issues that are already there. And
Yeah.
that kind of leads me into this. I wanted to talk about this a little bit, and I wanted to get your opinion on this. So this was not a question asked to us, but I know that it affects many people, okay? And I think we may, let me check here, we may go ahead and close out on this, okay?
Okay.
So this affects a lot of people. So prolapsed disc, okay? The reason I wanted to talk about this is because there's a lot of misinformation on how to handle something like a prolapsed disc. I am not a doctor. First, I'd like to throw out there, he is not a doctor. He'd like to throw out that as well. But we kind of know how to manage these things. So prolapsed disc, what would you say would be an exercise that you would avoid?
I mean, you would definitely want to avoid going heavy. Like, I mean, really, you don't want to load anything on your shoulders.
Right.
Because you're gonna put any tension or any strain you put in your spine, that's gonna affect discs in your back. So, heavy back squats, right? It's not gonna be very smart.
Yeah.
Deadlifts.
With a lot of heavy extension.
Right.
Through the spine,
I would
yeah.
maybe go, instead of deadlifts, doing a moderate height rack pull.
Right.
Work more on. You could do the reverse hyper to strengthen your lower back, but do it in a controlled manner to where you're not going to strain the disc in your back or put compressed pressure, or doing a heavy deadlift where you're really straining yourself. But that will help strengthen the muscles around the disc issue, which would in turn give you more support and ease some of the pressure off of that disc. But everyone's case can be a little different. You got to go off, what feels, what caused you the most pain, and avoid those.
I'm a member of a couple different Facebook groups, and this is actually asked in one of those Facebook groups, not ours personally, but one of the Facebook groups. And I just wanted to kind of make this part of the video out to you, individual who has this issue. So just like he said, everybody's, but you want to avoid back squats, or heavy squats of any kind, really. And if you can, switch to leg press, something that completely bypasses the whole loading the spine thing. You want to avoid deadlifts, or at least find an alternative like rack pulls, light rack pulls. You want to avoid any extremely heavy ab work, because sometimes with disc issues that can actually make it worse. Because believe it or not, your abdominal wall has a lot to do with also transferring force to your spine. So many times when people think they injured their back, they often have weak abdominal walls, which cause the issue in the first place, right? Or weak core strength, which caused the issue in the first place. So
a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, kind of like
the stronger your abs, they're gonna, if your abs are weaker and you're trying to do these rack pulls, whatever, deadlifts, even rows, stuff like that, you're literally putting more pressure on your back to support you, because your core is weak. As where the stronger the core gets, it can take some of that, the pressure or the strain off your lower back, because your abs are strong enough to support you. A lot of people neglect ab work because it's boring. Okay. It's, so that's something you need to focus on, is getting that core stronger to alleviate some of the pressure and strain on the disc of the lower back.
Right. And just don't do anything that hurts for 4 to 8 weeks and see how that improves your symptoms. Sometimes herniated or prolapsed disc can actually improve on their own, heal on their own. It is kind of, something you might want to talk to a doctor about, honestly, if it is a disc issue. But usually prolapsed discs heal by themselves. It takes either weeks or months for them to heal. It really is a long process, or can be. Also, if you're not eating a good diet, I would highly suggest that, because when you provide yourself with good nutrients, you will heal faster. There's a study that actually is published. People can read it if they want to, everything like that. They actually supplemented marathon runners with 1 gram of raw spinach leaf per kilogram, right? Which is not much spinach at all. It's like a salad, right? For most people.
Right. And you cook that up, it's like, the size of your fist,
Right. And it actually, so the measure of inflammation that they used was creatine kinase levels, right? Which is a pretty good measure of inflammation in marathon runners. So it either halved or third the creatine kinase levels in the 72 hour and beyond, or up to 72 hours and then beyond. So, which is just in time for their next training. So, that's a pretty significant reduction in creatine kinase levels, enough to make the suggestion that it would, in fact, help you heal faster, reduce inflammation, and all that jazz, which is all the good things that you want. So, my suggestion would be add some sort of coniferous vegetable. If you can, lose a little bit of weight.
Also, incorporate, you can add turmeric, fish oil.
That's correct.
These are also anti-inflammatories that you can add turmeric. You can add it to your rice to cook with, or you can take the turmeric supplement. And fish oil, those things also will help reduce internal inflammation, which can help alleviate that and not be crushing ibuprofen and then rotting out the inside of your stomach. So that's another alternative too.
And something people don't realize is, ibuprofen and NSAIDs in particular, they just, so basically there's, let's just say there's a fire in your house, right? Well, usually your fire alarm goes off to let you know that there's a fire in your house, and then you call the fire department and you go, okay, well, there's a fire going on, come on out, and then they come here and then they put it out and everything's fine, right? That's your body's natural healing process. NSAIDs, fire's going on, we're just going to take the batteries out of the fire alarm and we're going to wait until things are just so catastrophic, and then we're going to call them very slowly. It's like, hi, there's a fire. So it delays the healing process is what it does. So stay away from NSAIDs if you can. Take them as needed to get through the day. And if you really are in such tremendous pain that you can't do any of the following steps, consult a physician. But there's my little, question of the day out of the way so that I can kind of hopefully help this guy out. I'm going to link this in the Facebook group with, of course, permission from the admins of the Facebook group that I'm talking about, so that hopefully we can get this guy some help and hopefully he can get to feeling better, because being hurt and training sucks.
Not enjoyable.
Even though you and I are the type to push through it.
Which can backfire, so
yeah,
if it's that bad,
concussion.
Yeah, if it's that bad with like my hip and stuff, pushing through it can make things way worse. So if it's really bugging you that bad, then it is, eventually give in and go see a doctor and get it looked at. But I'm the last one to go to the doctor. My girlfriend will tell you that. I'm stubborn as hell, Even though I have insurance, I'm still just like, I don't got time. I can do this instead when I need to go.
The great thing about not having insurance and getting blood work is there's places you can do it now. So for those of
that's
you,
where I go.
Because blood work is really important, and this has been kind of the theme of the first part of this episode. So what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to link somewhere in the description box below where you can order a blood test to a LabCorp near you, and then you go in and have your vitamin D levels checked, your free testosterone, all that stuff, all the tests that you would think of and more in one place for you to go and kind of bypass having to explain to your doctor, oh, well, I just kind of want to make sure, and the doctor says, why? Just go. We're not going to do that, so you can kind of get around it that way and get yourself some blood work to have some reference to see if you're healthy AF. So, that being said, I think we're going to sign out. If you like this video, go ahead and like this video. I am pointing currently at a subscribe pillow that is on the shelf behind me. That is something you should definitely do. As always, check out our badass products over at www.chaosandpain.com, and we will see you later.
See you guys.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women. That is good. That is good.
Too many thoughts on my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste my time then. I just been living online, my city don't show me no loving, that's fine. Fuck local radio stations, I got more plays than all of these rappers combined. I'm going again, I've been going in, I'm fed up with so many things, I gotta just let it all out. I'm talking about the shit they've been talking about, telling me I should do this, telling me I should do that, telling me things about rap, talking the truth and that stab in my back, they will knock me off track. No, too many things have been building, been hard to deal with, I just been drinking. Remember my moves in the past, I'm wondering what was I thinking. Lately I'm living in fear, wondering what if the end is so near. All of this shit going on, the shootings are strong, one shot to the head and I'm gone. I'm losing control but I can't let it go, cause I'm trying to get more. And I've been in the moment, I've been in the zone, and I'm moving alone. I don't pick up the phone when my family call, I've been doing it wrong and I don't know what's happening. Trying to get what I just been imagining, getting close and I just been examining all of the fake shit the game has been packaging.
Oh, please, Kram, so grant me one request. Grant me revenge. If you do not listen, then the hell with you.
I come from a town where most of the people are so close-minded. They go into school and they work in a job but they don't even like it. I won't be put in a box, nobody telling me what I should rock, nobody telling me what I should drop, cause I do what I want and just know I don't stop. Recording till 4 in the morning, they snoring, I'm pouring my soul into every story. I'm writing, producing, I mix it, I master, I'm building my craft and I'm not looking back. I've been going doing things I wanna do when I want to. Everybody wanna get away but they not do. Everybody wanna copy you but they not you. Everybody wanna be cool but they not new. Whoa, look how I go, gonna be a dentist, I still got the flow. Never gonna lose cause I'm still doing both. Never gonna lose cause I've been on the road. Come to your state and I'm killing the show. Know that I'm young and I still gotta grow. Know that I'm working the most, know I'm never gonna choke. And I'm looking back down on the people below.
I've been keeping real, I've been doing what I feel. I've been out here trying to kill every beat I know.